Hello everyone. So in the previous class we had a discussion on clipper and clamper circuits. So now basically we will be moving on to another semiconductor device, very commonly used semiconductor device, which is basically known as bipolar junction transistor, or in short form we just call it BJT. Okay, B stands for bipolar, J for junction, and T for transistor. So what is the BJT? BJT is basically a three-layer two-junction semiconductor device. Okay, so unlike your diode, which basically consists of two layers, okay, BJT basically consists of three layers. Okay, and there are two junctions present. Okay, so it's basically a three-layer two-junction semiconductor device in which either a p-type layer is sandwiched in between two n-type layers, resulting in what we call an NPN transistor, or n-type layer is sandwiched in between two p-type layers. Okay, such transistor basically called PNP transistor. So accordingly we are having two type of transistors. One is your PNP transistor and another is your NPN transistor. Okay, so accordingly it is basically called either a PNP transistor or an NPN transistor. You can easily see from the diagram that this is basically the representation of a BJT. So it basically consists of three layers. Okay, one this one, another this one, and the third one is this one. So in this case your n-type layer is sandwiched in between two p-type layers. Okay, on the other hand, in this type of BJT, where basically a p-type layer is sandwiched in between two n-type layer. Okay, so accordingly we are having two types of transistor. This is called PNP transistor and this is called NPN transistor. Okay, so there are basically three layers, one this one, another this one, and this one. Similarly here also there are three layers. This one is the first layer, this one is second one, and this one is third one. Okay, and there are two junctions. One is this PN junction, another is this NP junction. Similarly here also there is one NP junction present here and one is here a PN junction. Okay, so there are two types of BJT. One is basically called your PNP transistor, another is called your NPN transistor. In case of PNP transistor, your n-type layer is sandwiched in between two p-type layers. On the other hand, in case of NPN transistor, a p-type layer is sandwiched in between two n-type layers. Okay, so basically these transistors were initially invented at around 1947 by three great scientists. Okay, they were like they named it J. Bardeen, W. Brattain, and W. Shockley. So it was invented around 1947. So after that, this sort of junction transistors came around 1950. Okay, so these are the two types of transistor. Now you can easily see, since there are three layers, we are having three terminals coming out from these three layers. Okay, one terminal is basically called the emitter terminal. One is called your base, another is called your collector. Middle one is basically called your base. Okay, E stands for emitter, B stands for base, and C stands for collector. Okay, so accordingly there are three terminals. One is your emitter, second one is your base, and third one is your collector. Middle one is always your base. Okay, middle one is base, and the one end of the one of these two end will be emitter, and the another end will be your collector. Okay, so you can say that a BJT is basically a three-layer, two-junction, three-terminal device. Okay, three-terminal semiconductor device. Okay, why is it called bipolar? Because as we will be seeing later on, in case of a transistor, both magnetic carrier as well as magnetic carrier helps in the conduction of current. So for that reason, basically it's called a bipolar. Okay, bipolar means two poles. Okay, so both electrons as well as holes contribute towards the flow of the current. So for that reason, it's basically called a bipolar junction transistor. Okay, so if we consider the width of these three layers and the doping of these three layers, then it will be somewhat like this. If we consider the emitter layer, okay, so as far as doping is concerned, doping will be maximum in the emitter layer. Okay, so in case of your emitter layer, doping is maximum. Okay, and as far as width is concerned, the width of the emitter layer is moderate. Okay, width of the emitter layer is moderate. As far as base region is concerned, okay, in your base region the doping is minimum. Okay, least doping or doping is minimum, whatever you can say it. Okay, so in case of your base region, your doping should be minimum. Okay, as well as the width. Okay, width will also be less, minimum rather. Okay, width is minimum. Okay, out of these three layers, okay, out of these three layers, base layer is having least doping as well as least width. Okay, its width is minimum. Okay, among these three, the minimum width will be of that of base. Okay, as well as doping will be minimum as that of base. And as far as collector region is concerned, here doping is moderate. Okay, the doping of collector region will be in between that of emitter region and your base region. Emitter region will be having maximum doping. Okay, this base region will be having minimum doping, and this collector region will be having a doping level in between that of an emitter layer and a base layer. And as far as width is concerned, width will be maximum. Okay, the collector region is having maximum width. Okay, it's having more width as that of emitter or base. Okay, so this one is having more width. So here width is maximum. Okay, so this is basically the details about your PNP and NPN transistor. As far as circuit symbols are concerned, as far as circuit symbols are concerned, your NPN and PNP transistors are represented somewhat like this. So circuit symbols. Okay, so these are the some symbols for your BJT. This one is a symbol for an NPN transistor. On the other hand, this one is a symbol for a PNP transistor. You can easily see that there are three terminals. Okay, this terminal, middle one is your base. Okay, the terminal which is having an arrow. Okay, that terminal is basically your emitter. Okay, and the third terminal will be your collector. This arrow basically represents the direction of the flow of current. Okay, this arrow basically represents the direction of the flow of current. In case of an NPN transistor, current is flowing out of this emitter terminal. Okay, current is flowing out of this emitter terminal, so for that reason this direction is going outward. So this is a symbol for an NPN transistor. So arrow basically represents the direction of the flow of the current through the emitter terminal. Okay, in this case current is flowing through the emitter terminal inside the BJT. So that means the arrow is inverse. So this is the symbol for a PNP transistor. Okay, why is current flowing outward and why is current flowing inwards in case of a PNP transistor? That will be discussing when we will be learning about the principle of operation of these transistors just after this. So these are the basically your circuit symbols for your transistor. So whenever we draw a circuit which basically comprises of an NPN transistor or PNP transistor, we basically represent by these two symbols. This one for an NPN transistor and this one is for your PNP transistor. Okay, so now let us move on to the biasing of the transistor. let us consider an NPN transistor. Okay, let us consider an NPN transistor. NPN transistor basically consists of three terminals. Okay, so these are the three terminals of the NPN transistor. Right now we are considering NPN transistor. Similarly, we can have PNP transistor as well. So now, as far as biasing of this transistor is concerned, how can we bias them? There are basically four actions which can be taken occurring in this particular transistor. One is the active mode. Okay, there are four regions of operation. Okay, for a transistor, basically there are four regions of operation. First one is the active mode or the active region. Okay, rather it should be better if you call it an active region. There are four regions. Usually transistors are operated in this active region. Okay, usually transistors are operated in this active region. Okay, what is happening in case of an active region? In case of an active region, a transistor is basically used as an amplifier in order to amplify the input signal. Okay, in order to amplify, or rather in order to have some gain in the magnitude of the input signal, we use this BJT in active region. So in case of BJT, what is happening is that your emitter base junction is forward biased. Okay, there are two junctions as we have already discussed. One is emitter base junction and another is your collector base junction. Okay, so in case of in active region, your emitter base junction is forward biased. But collector base junction is reverse bias. So usually transistors are operated in this region. So what is happening is that your emitter base junction is forward biased. On the other hand, your collector base junction is reverse biased. Since this emitter base junction is forward biased, its dynamic resistance will be very less. On the other hand, since collector base junction is reverse biased, its dynamic resistance will be very high. Okay, so what we are happening in case of a BJT is we are transferring a signal. Okay, we are transferring a signal from a circuit having low dynamic resistance to a circuit having high dynamic resistance. Okay, so from there comes the name your transistor. Okay, trans comes from transfer and ester comes from resistor. So basically this BJT is a circuit where a signal is transferred from a circuit having low resistance to a circuit having high resistance. So from there comes the name transistor. Okay, trans for transfer and ester for resistors. Okay, so usually your transistor is operated in this active region. Here your emitter base junction is forward biased and your collector base junction is reverse biased. Here the transistor operates as an amplifier. Okay, so for that reason it's usually operated in this region. Second is your saturation region. Okay, so in saturation region, both the junctions are forward biased. Okay, here both the junctions are forward biased. Third is your cutoff region. Okay, third is your cutoff region. So in case of cutoff region, both the junctions are reverse biased. Okay, here both the junctions are reverse biased. So in case of your saturation region and in case of your cutoff region, the transistor will be acting like a switch. Okay, in saturation region, the switch is completely on. On the other hand, in case of your cutoff region, the switch is completely off. So here they are basically acting as a switch. Here the transistor operates as an amplifier. Here transistor operates as a switch. Here the switch is completely turned on in case of saturation region, and in case of cutoff region, the switch is completely off. Okay. So these are the three regions. Fourth one is usually we don't operate transistor in this fourth region. Okay, this is basically called reverse active region. Okay, so in case of reverse active region, your emitter base junction is reverse biased. Transistor is never operated in this reverse active region. So emitter base junction is reverse biased. But collector base junction is forward biased. Okay, so if we consider the magnitude of the or rather the polarity of the voltages in case of this transistors in various regions, what we will be getting? Let us consider this for an NPN transistor. Okay, if we are considering an NPN transistor, okay, so what will be happening is that in case of an NPN transistor, your emitter terminal voltage should be less than base voltage, and that should be further less than collector terminal voltage. Okay, so say suppose if we are having an NPN transistor and that NPN transistor is operating in the active region, then the voltage of the emitter terminal should be less than for the voltage of the base terminal, and we should be further less than the voltage at the collector terminal. Okay, be careful, this thing is for an NPN transistor. If a PNP transistor is given to you, then just the inequality sign will get reversed. That means for a PNP transistor, your emitter terminal voltage will be greater than your base terminal voltage, and base terminal voltage will be greater than your collector terminal voltage. Okay, just the inequality sign will get reversed. As far as saturation region is concerned, in case of saturation region for an NPN transistor, okay, be careful, we are discussing just about NPN transistor. For NPN transistor, your emitter terminal voltage should be less than your base terminal voltage. Okay, emitter terminal voltage should be less than your base terminal voltage, and your collector terminal voltage should be also less than your base terminal voltage. Okay, this is for your NPN transistor operating in saturation region. For an NPN transistor operating in cutoff region, your emitter terminal voltage should be greater than your base terminal voltage, and your collector terminal voltage should also be greater than your base terminal voltage. So this is for your NPN transistor operating in cutoff region. Be careful, for a PNP transistor, just the inequality sign will get reversed. Okay, just the inequality sign will get reversed in case of a PNP transistor. This is just for an NPN transistor. And in reverse active region, what will happen in reverse active region? In reverse active region, your emitter terminal voltage will be greater than your base terminal voltage, and that base terminal voltage will be further greater than your collector terminal voltage. Okay, so these are the magnitude of the voltages at various terminal for an NPN transistor operating in different regions. Okay, so now let us move on to the principle of operation of a transistor. Let us consider an NPN transistor. Okay, so the principle of operation of a transistor can be easily understood with the help of the energy diagram. Okay, in the absence of any biasing voltage, okay, in the absence of any biasing voltage, how will the energy band diagram look like for an NPN transistor? The energy band diagram will look like somewhat like this. Actually, this layer should be very thin. Okay, this is N type, this is P type, and this is N type. Okay, so this is basically the energy band diagram of a unbiased transistor. Okay, for unbiased NPN transistor. Okay, now if we apply a positive biasing voltage, okay, if we apply a forward bias voltage across emitter base junction and a reverse bias voltage across collector base junction, then what will happen? Due to this forward bias voltage, this gap, okay, this gap will basically reduce. Okay, it will reduce by an amount E times mod of VEB. Okay, it will reduce by application of forward bias voltage. This depletion gap will basically reduce. So as a result, what we'll be getting is we'll be getting somewhat like this. At the same time, this gap will basically increase since we are applying a reverse bias voltage, and this increase will be equal to E times mod of VCB. Okay. So this is basically the case. Okay. So this is how the energy band diagram will look like for a bias voltage. Okay. This is for bias voltage, and this one is for unbiased. Okay, so what is happening in case of a transistor when we are applying a forward bias voltage at the emitter base junction and a reverse bias voltage at the collector base junction? What is happening? Let us consider this just for an NPN type transistor. What is happening when we are applying a forward bias voltage? Okay, when we are applying a forward bias voltage across the collector base junction, this emitter terminal which is highly doped, okay, this emitter region which is highly doped, okay, be careful, I have told you earlier that this emitter layer is highly doped, this base region is slightly doped, and this collector region is moderately doped. Okay, so since this emitter region is highly doped, what will happen? This emitter layer is rich in electrons. Okay, it is rich in electrons. It is an N-type layer. Okay, this is an N-type layer, so that means it is rich in electrons. So since it is rich in electrons, it will donate, or rather, it will give some electrons. Okay, it will give some electrons to the base region. Okay, it will give some electrons to the base region. For that reason, it's basically called an emitter layer. Okay, so your electrons will flow from emitter layer to the base region. Okay, emitter layer to the base region. Now this base region is basically p-type layer. Okay, it's basically a p-type layer. That means it's having it's rich in holes. Okay, and it's slightly doped. Okay, it's slightly doped, and as well as the thickness of the base layer is very less. Okay, it's in fact is the thinnest portion of the three layers. It's basically the thinnest one. So as a result, what is happening, that the concentration of the electron, okay, the concentration of the electron near the emitter junction is more as compared to the concentration of the electron near the collector junction. Okay, so that means there is basically a concentration gradient. Okay, let me explain it once again. When we are applying a forward bias voltage across emitter base junction, okay, this electron will flow from emitter region to base region. Okay, because emitter region is rich in electrons. Okay, emitter region is rich in electrons, so for that reason your electrons will flow from emitter region to base region. Now this base region is very thin, okay, and it's slightly doped. Okay, so as a result, concentration of electrons towards the emitter junction will be very much high as compared to the electron concentration near the collector junction. So for that reason, there will be a concentration gradient. Due to this concentration gradient, electrons will start diffusing towards the collector junction. Okay, electrons will start diffusing towards the collector junction. In this process, some of the electrons will recombine with the holes present in the base region and will get lost. Okay, this electron will contribute towards the base current. Okay, this electron will basically contribute towards the base current. Majority portion of the electrons injected from the emitter region to the base region will reach the collector junction, but very few amount of electrons will get lost in the base region. Okay, since the thickness of the base region is very less, the number of electrons lost will be very less. In fact, 95 to 98% electrons injected from the emitter region to the base region will be able to go to the collector junction. Now, since this collector base junction is reverse biased, okay, this collector terminal will be positive, will be at positive polarity with respect to your base terminal. So as a result, this positive polarity will attract the electrons. Okay, connection will be somewhat like this. Okay, so this positive polarity, okay, this positive polarity will basically attract the electrons towards itself. Okay, and since the thickness of this collector region is kept maximum, okay, so that it can take more and more electrons from the base region. Okay, so what is happening is that few electrons is getting lost in the base region. Okay, and majority of the electrons is coming to this collector junction. From there, the electrons are being attracted by this positive terminal, positive polarity voltage. Okay, so in this way, it basically results in the flow of the electrons. Since electrons are flowing in this direction, your current, conventional direction of the current will flow in the opposite direction. Okay, as we have already discussed, conventional direction of the current, okay, is opposite to the direction of the flow of the electrons. Okay, so your emitter current will basically flow in this direction. Okay, this will be your base current and this will be your collector current. So in case of an NPN transistor, your I will be equals to IB plus IC if I apply KCL. Okay, I will be equals to IB plus IC. Okay, generally in some books what is being done is that this I is taken to be negative because there is a convention that the conventional direction of all the current will be incoming currents. Okay, so here you can easily see that the actual direction of I is opposite to the conventional direction. So for that reason, usually I is taken to be negative. But if you denote I in this direction, then I can write down equation to be somewhat like this, that my I should be equals to IB plus IC. Okay, so this is the principle of operation of your BJT. Okay, as far as your current components are concerned in your BJT, okay, what are the various current components in case of your BJT? Say suppose if we consider an NPN transistor, okay, what are the various current component present in a transistor? What are the various current components present in a transistor? As far as your emitter current is concerned, first of all let us discuss about emitter current. Okay, this emitter base junction is forward biased. Okay, since this emitter base junction is forward biased, what will happen? Electrons will flow from emitter region to base region. That means your electrons will be injected from the emitter region to the base region. As a result, a current will be flowing in this direction. Okay, so conventional direction of current is opposite to that of the electron. So your current will be flowing in this direction. Let me denote this current by IEN. Okay, and basically represents current which is flowing due to the flow of electrons. As well as, since this junction is forward biased, although this base region is slightly doped, but some holes will also be injected from base region to collector region. Okay, that holes which are injected from base region to collector region will also contribute towards the emitter current. Okay, although the magnitude of this holes is very less, okay, because this emitter region is highly doped. Okay, doping level of this emitter region is much more as compared to that of the base region. So for that reason, number of electrons injected will be much more high as compared to the number of holes injected from base region to emitter region. So for that reason, mainly this IE will consist of this particular component. Okay, but actually it basically consists of two components. One is current component due to electrons injected from N region to P region, plus, okay, I am taking this one to be my IE, plus electrons which is holes which are injected from base region to emitter region. Since number of holes injected are very less, this current will be very much less as compared to this current. Okay, now the electrons which are injected to this P region, okay, electrons which are injected to this P region, some of the electron will get lost. Okay, some of the electron will get lost due to recombination with the holes present in the P region. Okay, due to recombination with the electrons present in the P region, some electrons will get lost. Okay, so let me represent that component by E1. Say suppose E1 number of electrons is getting lost. So as a result, your base current will basically consist of one component due to this current. Okay, which is current which is being contributed by this. Let me represent it by some symbol. As well as your IEP will be there in case of your base current. Okay, this component. Along with it, there will be some reverse saturation current. Okay, reverse saturation current. This junction is basically reverse biased. Okay, this junction is basically reverse biased. Okay, since this junction is reverse biased, reverse saturation current will flow from this N type to P type as well as from P type to N type. Let us represent this reverse saturation current by ICO. Okay, this is basically the reverse saturation current. Okay, so this is basically the reverse saturation current. So basically your IB. Okay, your IB basically consists of two components. Rather, it will be IB minus ICO. Okay, direction will be opposite. Okay, direction will be opposite. So this is basically the case for your this IB. Okay, and some current will be there due to this component as well. Okay, what is this current component? Let me represent it by what symbol I can use? I can just use IE1. Okay, IE1. And as far as your collector current is concerned, okay, collector current is one component which is basically due to the remaining electron which is flowing from base to emitter, base to collector. So as a result, a current IE2 will be flowing in this direction. Okay, IE2 will be basically flowing in this direction. Obviously, IEN will be equals to IE1 plus IE2. Okay, IN will be equals to IE1 plus IE2. So one will be this IE2 component. Okay, it will be in this direction, and some reverse saturation current as well. The direction of the reverse saturation current will be like this. This is basically your ICO. Okay, so this is basically the three current. Okay, now if I add IB and IC. Okay, if I add IB and IC, what will I get? Just see, if I add IB and IC, what will I get? This ICO term will get cancelled out and will be simply left with IEP plus IE1 plus IE2. Okay, now IE1 plus IE2 is nothing but IEN. So what we will be getting? We will be simply getting it to be IEP plus IEN, which is nothing but your emitter current. Okay, so for a transistor, your IB and IB plus IC will be always equals to your IE. Okay, so this is all for your today. Thank you everyone. In the next class, we will be seeing modes of operation of a transistor as well as some characteristics of some static characteristics of transistors. Thank you everyone.